Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing for sound quality.
Do you guys like VR?
Welcome to the devlog of Spell It Out, a serious VR game made by EduTuna.
I wouldn't say it's great, but it's also not bad.
Really?
We began this project by brainstorming a number of different ideas. After inspecting multiple perspectives of the problem,
Hey. I want to for some reason wave here.
such as whether it is a relevant concept for VR, whether it's a relevant concept for an educative purpose, or whether it's an interesting concept as a game, we settled on a potion brewing concept. I emailed the client requesting specifications regarding the English level we were to be working with, as well as the ages of the children who would play the game and the context in which it would be played, such as in a school or at home. After receiving information about these various criteria, we set out to develop our prototype. It began with a lot of sketching and a lot of scribbling. To take the first step in bringing this idea to reality, I designed a paper prototype of the workshop using a circular layout with a cauldron in the middle, a desk at the front door, a workspace in the back, and a machine on the side. There is one empty space left on the wall, and that is for the user interface to appear in order to complete English exercises. The workshop was specifically designed to be virtual reality friendly. We aim to improve player comfort by reducing the potential causes of motion sickness, such as large environments that require walking through in virtual reality, or dizziness that may be caused by free camera rotation within the environment. In order to counteract these two downsides, we restricted the workshop to a small, circular environment, as well as comfort turning, which, on the left joystick left or right, snaps the camera direction a couple degrees in the chosen direction. Once the design choices for the environment were finished, we turned our attention to the English learning aspect of the game. Max and I, who were in charge of design, brainstormed and prototyped different ways we could implement this. An early concept for this was a villager would bring a potion with incorrect English, and you had to correct that recipe and brew the potion based off of it. However, this presented many loopholes and meant that the player fail in a number of different ways that weren't just related to the English learning outcome. This had to be addressed more in detail. This is when Max had the idea of a recipe generating machine. The idea, simple at its core, a machine that, given an input, will generate a random selection of ingredients which would be used in order to brew the desired potion. As a personal learning challenge, I volunteered to take on the modeling and designing of the machine itself. I started from the ground up, using perspective-based sketches. I iterated multiple concepts for various pieces of the machine, both in sketches and in the 3D models. After much debate and internal group testing, I settled on the idea of a letterbox and a machine containing 3 screens and 3 tubes. By inserting a slip of paper with correct English grammar, the machine would generate a picture of an ingredient above a tube. The player would then have to go fetch the ingredient and place it in the tube as part of the brewing process. There were 3 tubes, each with a corresponding screen. 1 triangle, 1 square, and 1 circle. In the concept, each of these tubes would also have a unique distillation tube which brought the ingredients to the cauldron in the center of the workshop. However, during the final demonstration of the prototype, we had deemed it unnecessary to add these tubes as they provided no essential value to the core gameplay loop. This is an example of an instance where my initial design choice did not coincide with our primary goal. However, this experience provided me the opportunity to work with 3D modeling in Maya, as it was a program I had never used before. While stylizing the first machine concepts in 3D, I opted for a rustic approach, envisioning well-aged textures of wood and iron. I discussed these ideas with the artists in our group, Ben and Laura. They had been designing and modeling assets for the workshop, So I sent over some sample textures that I had been using for inspiration. Since I had done some research into textures we would like to use, I decided to make a visual prototype in Unity of what the workshop might look like. It was a useful asset that demonstrated the vision and atmosphere of our game without requiring functionality. The next step for me was creating a solid game design document. The initial prototype of a GDD that I'd created did not meet the specific requirements and properties of a serious virtual reality game. I asked around for help and was recommended various material that could help me to this end, such as books, YouTube videos, or online courses with Masterclass. The first version of the GDD was in a PowerPoint presentation format. I further developed it into a final PDF file. It was put on display during the demo day for the client and the evaluator to see. Before the demo day itself, we went through a series of evaluation processes. We went to various test and chills and in-class testing sessions. We also tested multiple paper prototypes and even acted out our scenes to better understand their gameplay viability. The results were compiled into a list of various feedback. Task management during this block was carried out on Trello. Patrizia was the Scrum Master, and she ensured that there was a framework that everyone could file their work into. Additionally, there was an Excel sheet in which each group member could fill out their working hours. It could be a group meeting in a book classroom that we had to ourselves, a coaching meeting where we reflected and evaluated on current progress, or simply a session to work together in order to keep each other motivated and focused. We kept contact on a frequent basis, using a WhatsApp group to share ideas, media, documents, and to keep each other posted on new events. Additionally, a shared Google Drive was created, so members could access each other's assets regardless of location. While at the beginning of the block, we aimed to use GitHub in order to share and keep track of our work, the limitations of having only one Oculus Quest meant that only a few people were working in Unity, as opposed to working with Maya, on paper, or with various other digital tools. And finally, the part of the show that nobody's been waiting for, strengths and weaknesses. My personal weaknesses include difficulty keeping track of the scope of a project. This often means that I design for a larger scale than what we actually intend to develop. Sometimes this can be useful because it can solve problems preliminarily. Other times it can be a nuisance because of potential time wasted on macro ideas or mechanics versus time that could be spent fine-tuning micro mechanics. Additionally, I have a difficult time keeping track of the number of hours I work. This means that I have trouble estimating how much time will be needed for a project that I undertake. However, I found that close collaboration and communication with group members regarding specific deadlines can be useful in creating simpler steps in order to achieve end goals. For example, regarding the construction of the machine, I had to reevaluate my position as a 3D modeler as opposed to a designer. The original design exceeded the amount of polygons that the Oculus Quest could support by a large factor. Therefore, by remodeling it after consultation with other members, a new machine was modeled with similar design language, but vastly increased efficiency. And finally, as you may tell by what you've heard so far, I like giving complex explanations, and sometimes it becomes a problem, especially when communicating to a client or other group members. It's important to take a step back and reevaluate my position to provide a simpler, more concise explanation for the problems I'm trying to solve. I'm great at taking notes. Furthermore, I take frequent notes whenever I can. This helps me remember where I'm at with the project and allows me to look back and investigate previous design choices and what they've developed into. Finally, my last strength is that I like to push traditional boundaries. I'm usually not content working with just one role, such as a designer. I like working on art and development as well, because it allows me to create a prototype which helps me to convey my vision. It is now 10:57, and I've got exactly 63 minutes to finish recording this sentence, edit the video, and upload it to Blackboard. Thank you for your attention. Until next time.